In the heart of Southeast Asia, surrounded by vast plains, dense rainforests, and the wonderful Andaman Sea, lies Myanmar, the most authentic and unknown country in Asia and one of the most beautiful on the planet. A country where thousands of wandering monks roam cities and villages, where men wear skirts and women paint their faces with tree bark, and are considered by many to be the most beautiful in Southeast Asia. A region where one of the most extraordinary tribes on Earth lives, known as the giraffe women, who lengthen their necks using a set of brass rings, which according to some voices should never be removed, since doing so could cause them to lose their necks and lose their lives. Ancient Burma, one of the most beautiful places in the world, both for its landscapes and its legend. With places like the floating city of Inle Lake, with bamboo houses resting on its serene waters, and children learn to sail from a very young age. A country so authentic that preserves intact the history in ancient cities like Bagan, a magical spectacle considered one of the most beautiful places in the world, with more than 2,000 ancient temples that can be observed in a balloon from the heights. A place full of unique curiosities such as the women boat, or the fishermen of Inle Lake, who row with only one leg while balancing their ingenious nets, where there is a sacred rock that many claim walks alone, and with beautiful beaches where the water shines in a magical way when in contact with the movement, creating a natural spectacle so fascinating that it seems from another world. Pay attention and don't miss this new video of Uncensored World. Soon you will travel with us through Myanmar, which is probably one of the most beautiful, authentic, and unknown places on the planet. Let's get started. Myanmar, also called Burma, is a country located in the heart of Southeast Asia, surrounded by India, China, Thailand, Laos, and Bangladesh. With a land area of over 676,000 square kilometers, it is the largest country in Southeast Asia, and its strategic geographical position makes it a bridge between the Indian subcontinent and the rest of Asia. To put it in perspective, its size is comparable to that of countries like Venezuela in South America, offering vast expanses of unspoiled nature, mountains, and rivers that meander through its territory. Its population is slightly over 55 million, so it has a relatively low density compared to other countries in the region, which highlights its vast, unexplored natural areas. This, coupled with limited tourism due to lack of infrastructure and conflict, has allowed traditions, history, and ways of life to shape one of the most authentic and extraordinary countries in the world in this remote region of the planet. The country is also known as Burma. This dual name is both a cultural and political issue that you will now understand better. Burma is a name that comes from the British colonial period and is linked to the term Bamar, which refers to the country's majority ethnic group. Myanmar, on the other hand, has deeper roots in the local language and culture, representing a more inclusive form that seeks to reflect the country's ethnic and linguistic diversity. The term Myanmar derives from a more formal pronunciation of the same linguistic root as Bamar in the Burmese language. Its origin is in the country's millennia-old language, and although both terms refer to the same nation, Myanmar is considered an official designation that attempts to encompass all the communities that are part of this culturally rich land. In 1989, the military government officially changed the international name to Myanmar to distance itself from the colonial legacy, although both names continue to be used in different contexts. To sum it up, while Burma is the Anglo-Saxon meaning inherited from the colonial period, Myanmar is the proper name used by the Burmese in their ancient language. Throughout its history, Myanmar has been a crossroads of cultures, religions, and traditions. Its strategic location not only made it a trading point between East and South Asia, but also a place where civilizations flourished that adopted Buddhism as their cultural backbone. This influence endures to this day, with thousands of temples, stupas, and golden pagodas dominating the landscape, offering a testament to its spiritual devotion and rich cultural heritage. More than 90% of the population in Myanmar practices Buddhism, underscoring the country's deep connection to this religion, which guides both daily life and national festivities and traditions. That is why Myanmar is considered the cradle of Buddhism in Southeast Asia, And something that is very striking to those lucky enough to see the wonders of this country is the number of wandering monks that roam its main cities and towns. These monks, dressed in their traditional orange robes, form an essential part of the daily landscape, offering a direct connection to the spirituality and millenary history of this country. The presence of the monks creates a unique atmosphere, allowing visitors to immerse themselves in a culture deeply rooted in spirituality. This setting makes Myanmar spiritually more authentic than many other places in this region. For here, Buddhist traditions are lived in their purest form and without commercial alterations. Golden temples, some of them centuries old, are intertwined with the daily practices of monks and the faithful, who keep the ancient customs alive. Watching monks walk among Bagan's temples or even in the most secluded corners of villages, surrounded by an aura of stillness and peace, is one of Myanmar's most iconic experiences. Myanmar's wandering monks walk the streets and villages as part of a daily practice deeply rooted in Buddhist tradition. Their goal is to receive offerings, mainly food, which are given to them by locals and tourists. This custom has a deep spiritual significance, as it is considered that by making these offerings, devotees generate merits that benefit their karma and future well-being. In addition, this practice allows monks to continue their austere life without having to worry about their livelihood, dedicating their time to meditation and the study of Buddhist teachings. That is why both locals and tourists participate in this ritual also with the noble intention of improving their karma or luck in the future, either by offering food or simply by silently watching the monks pass by. For the locals, this act of giving is an act of devotion and respect for the monks, who are seen as sacred figures and as intermediaries between human beings and the Buddha's teachings. This contrast offers an authentic experience. This, added to the fact that the scarce tourism, together with the cultural and social realities of the country, has allowed traditions, ways of life, and ancestral constructions to remain intact, resulting in a unique and fascinating character that is reflected in every corner of the region. Thinking about it, surely the place that best reflects how extraordinary this country is Bagan, a vast region full of history, spirituality, and beauty that has captivated travelers from all over the world. Considered one of the most beautiful places on the planet, Bagan is a true treasure of humanity, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This ancient kingdom was the capital of Burma between the 11th and 13th centuries, and is home to more than 2,000 temples, pagodas, and monasteries, many of them breathtakingly beautiful, scattered across an arid and serene landscape, creating one of the most spectacular sights in all of Asia. If you are lucky enough to visit this wonder, it's good to know that the best ways to explore Bagan are undoubtedly by hot air balloon or bicycle. Ballooning at dawn allows you to contemplate the immensity of the temples from the heights, an experience considered among the most beautiful and majestic balloon flights on the planet. The sensation of seeing hundreds of millenary structures surrounded by vegetation while the sun begins to illuminate the horizon is indescribable, and anyone who can enjoy it will surely never forget it. Apart from the balloon, the most popular and economical option is probably to tour the region by bicycle, an ideal way to explore this historical paradise and visit its thousands of temples. Traditional or electric bicycles can be rented in Bagan, making it easy to explore the many temples as the site is quite extensive. Inside these temples, the experience remains awe-inspiring, as each structure reveals a unique architectural design, with figures of huge, colorful Buddhas decorating their interiors, inviting visitors to a total immersion in the spirituality and artistry of the country. In many of these shrines and pagodas, you will see paintings and reliefs that tell Buddhist stories that have been kept alive over time, and if you are lucky enough, a guide or even a wandering monk can help you discover these millenary stories. In addition to the wandering monks, there is an ethnic group, and within them, they're women, who are even more fascinating, and these are the giraffe women. These giraffe women are part of the Kayan tribe, which belongs to the Kayan ethnic group. The Kayan are one of the oldest and most mysterious ethnic groups in Southeast Asia, with origins dating back to time immemorial. The Kayan are believed to have originated in the high mountains of Tibet, although their history has been blurred over the centuries by migrations and conflicts with other peoples. Today, the Kayan are spread across Myanmar and Thailand and have maintained many of their traditions, although their history is marked by the struggle for autonomy and forced displacement. It is a culture deeply tied to the land, with customs and rituals that have been passed down from generation to generation, often surrounded by mystery and symbolism. Within this group is the Kayan tribe, a subgroup of the Kayan that has gained notoriety primarily for its giraffe women, whose tradition of wearing metal rings around their necks has both cultural and social significance. The Kayan are said to have come to Myanmar from the northern highlands, crossing mountains and jungles before settling in the border regions. Their nomadic lifestyle, spanning the mountainous region between Thailand and Myanmar, has allowed them to preserve a unique identity, but has also brought them into contact with a complicated reality, marked by political tensions and forced migration. The mystery of the Kayan is also related to their isolation in the border regions, remote and difficult to reach places, which has allowed them to preserve these ancestral customs. These territories, such as Kayan State in Myanmar, are difficult to access, and many of their inhabitants still live in a traditional way, away from outside influences. However, the advance of tourism has brought these people a little closer to the outside world. Giraffe women, in particular, have become one of the most powerful images of Kayan culture, symbolizing the beauty, resilience, and mystery of a people who have preserved their essence, despite centuries of change and challenges. These women are known for the metal rings they place around their necks from an early age, with the tradition of adding more rings as they grow older. This practice has been passed down from generation to generation and has various meanings within their culture. For the Kayan tribe, rings are not only a symbol of beauty, but also of status, reflecting respect for the traditions and identity of their community. For the Kayan community, the use of these rings is seen as a symbol of beauty, strength, and femininity. Women with longer necks are considered more attractive by men, which gives them an elevated status within the community. This practice is also linked to protection, since according to tradition, women with elongated necks are seen as wiser and more respected. In fact, in their culture, physical attractiveness carries great weight and is closely associated with characteristics that are cultivated from childhood. The rings, which weigh several kilos, not only alter the shape of the neck, but also have effects on the body, causing the collarbones to sag downward. Today, the Western world continues to marvel at this practice, and giraffe women have gained international fame. However, it is important to remember that this tradition is not simply an exotic curiosity, but an integral aspect of the identity of one of Myanmar's oldest and most resilient cultures. For the Kayan, the wearing of the rings represents much more than a body modification. It is a reflection of their cultural resilience and their respect for the values of their community. The term giraffe women comes from the appearance their necks take on as the rings elongate them, giving them that distinctive shape. However, there is a widespread belief that generates controversy about the danger of removing the rings. Some claim, and it is a fact often told by some local guides, that if a giraffe woman were to remove them after having worn them for many years, her neck could collapse and she could die from the pressure on her cervical spine, which has fueled the myth. What do you think of this idea? Do you think it is a legend or reality? And if it is real, why do you think these women could die from being dislocated when removing their rings? We will soon discover this detail, but before that, it is good to know the controversy that exists regarding the way they make a living, since nowadays, many giraffe women are so dependent on tourism that they are considered exploited, and it is even thought that it is more necessity than tradition that makes them maintain this custom. Many argue that giraffe women do it more for tourists than for cultural reasons, and that this has transformed an ancestral tradition into a commercial spectacle that feeds more on interest than culture. Be that as it may, this community continues to preserve its traditions, and some of its members continue to make a living from agriculture and other artisan work, such as the manufacture of textile products and the sale of handicrafts. We will now go into detail about one of the most popular legends about giraffe women, that they could die if they remove their rings. It is said that a woman's neck is so adapted to the rings that removing this load all at once may cause the muscles and ligaments to be unable to support the head properly, resulting in her death. However, many health and physiological experts claim that this is not possible. According to science, the neck does not elongate in the same way that a bone would. What actually happens is that over the years, the vertebrae compress over time, but never to the point of being fatal. That is why this myth about death by removing the rings seems to have spread, because of the fascination generated by these women and the difficulty in understanding how their body can adapt to this tradition. Although the myth lives on, doctors and scientists agree that there is no medical evidence to suggest that removing the rings causes instant death or fatal injury. As for the region where they live, it is essential to know one of the most mysterious and beautiful places inhabited by giraffe women and other tribes in Myanmar, known as Inle Lake, a place that seems to be taken from a fantasy story. This lake, located in Shan State, is a natural paradise surrounded by mountains and covered by a layer of fog in the early hours of the day, which gives it a mystical and mysterious air. It is famous for its floating villages, where houses and markets are built on platforms resting on the water, creating an amazing and unique landscape in the world. On Inle Lake, transportation is almost exclusively by boat. The lake's fishermen are known for their unique technique of one-legged rowing, which allows them to balance the boat while fishing with traditional nets. This method is so distinctive that Inle fishermen have become one of Myanmar's most iconic images. In addition, some women in the region, known as boat women, also use this method of rowing, which allows them to perform their daily tasks more efficiently and nimbly. Inle Lake's houseboats, also known as stilt houses, are a marvel in themselves, and this is probably the best place to admire their beauty. At Inle Lake, they are all built on bamboo platforms resting on the water, where daily activities such as fishing, growing vegetables, and selling handicrafts are carried out. In this incredible place, everything seems to flow in a natural harmony, where water is not only a means of transportation, but also a way of life. Children from an early age learn to navigate in canoes, as this is the main way to get to school or other destinations. Families living on Inle Lake are also engaged in silver production, a tradition that has been passed down from generation to generation. Artisans in the region create intricate silver products that are sold to both locals and tourists. This work, like many other activities in the area, is closely linked to the water, as the extraction of the materials and the manufacture of the products are often carried out in small floating factories. Inle Lake and its surroundings offer one of the most unique experiences in Myanmar. There are sightseeing tours that allow visitors to explore this natural wonder by boat, where they can see floating markets, silver workshops, and the daily life of the communities that inhabit the region. In addition, during these tours, tourists have the opportunity to meet the giraffe women of the Kayan tribe, who continue their ancestral tradition of wearing rings around their necks. Also included are visits to floating Buddhist temples, some of which have remained intact for centuries, immersing visitors in the spiritual history of this region. Visiting Inle Lake is a unique opportunity to observe a culture and wonders that have endured here like nowhere else through time, discovering what is for many the most authentic country in Asia. With this in mind, we would like to ask you, would you like to visit Inle Lake or discover Bagan above the clouds in a hot air balloon? What impressed you most about Myanmar? Would you dare to adorn your body with brass rings like the giraffe women? Pause the video and leave us your comment. We will love to read you and know that doing so is the best way for you to support Uncensored World. So, we keep working every week to bring you interesting content like this. So, thank you. As you are seeing, Myanmar remains a destination that evokes mystery, beauty, and mysticism. Its identity, shaped by centuries of history, intertwined cultures, and a deep attachment to its spiritual traditions, make it one of the most fascinating and unique places in Southeast Asia. In some communities, especially among indigenous peoples, it is common for women to use a paste made from tree bark to paint their faces. This paste, known as thanaka, is made from the bark of the Limonia acidissima tree, which is grated and mixed with water to form a thick paste. Thanaka is not only aesthetically pleasing, but also protective, as it acts as a natural barrier against the sun, and its cooling and antioxidant properties help to keep the skin healthy. Myanmar women apply thanaka to their face in artistic patterns that vary from person to person, giving them a unique, radiant, and vibrant appearance. This tradition, passed down from generation to generation, has become a profound cultural symbol of natural beauty and identity. In fact, Burmese women are considered among the most beautiful in Southeast Asia, not only for their delicate features, but also for their elegant demeanor and serene attitude, characteristics that further enhance their attractiveness. But even more fascinating for many who visit this incredible country is to observe that not only women wear skirts, but also men. In Myanmar, this traditional garment is known as elongates and is a kind of skirt that wraps around the waist, is common in both men and women, and is part of everyday dress throughout the country. For men, the elongates is usually simpler, with less flashy patterns, but equally comfortable and elegant. In urban areas, it is often paired with a shirt or t-shirt, while in rural areas the dress remains more traditional. This attire reflects the modesty and simplicity of Burmese culture and is the perfect garment for dealing with the country's heat and humidity. While it may come as a culture shock to Western tourists, the elongates symbolizes a deep connection to national identity and the continuity of traditions in Myanmar. But if there is one thing that really stands out among Myanmar's mysterious natural phenomena, it is the famous walking rock. This phenomenon, which has intrigued scientists and travelers alike, occurs in a small village, where a giant rock is believed to move on its own, although studies have not yet succeeded in explaining how it happens. However, it is not the only strange phenomenon in the country. On beaches like Ngapali, one of the longest and most authentic in Southeast Asia, a natural phenomenon occurs that seems to be straight out of a science fiction movie: bioluminescence. When the waves touch the shore at night, the water glows with a greenish-blue glow, creating a magical and surreal atmosphere. This phenomenon, which is due to marine microorganisms, is more common at certain times of the year, especially in the warmer months when the water is warmer. Like the walking rock, this natural spectacle remains a mystery that attracts curious tourists eager to see one of nature's most inexplicable wonders. At this point, you are probably wondering what is the best way to travel and enjoy this earthly wonder, a wonder that is also one of the cheapest and most economical countries in the world. Myanmar, while offering unique landscapes and experiences, presents challenges in terms of infrastructure, making any journey often a rather uncomfortable adventure. But that's the thing about being authentic. If you plan to visit, it's important to be prepared to adapt to a slower pace of life and enjoy the journey as much as the destination. The transportation infrastructure in the country can be described as archaic, and this is part of its charm. The trains, for example, are an experience in themselves. They run at less than 30 kilometers per hour for hundreds of kilometers, making journeys that in other countries would take minutes turn into hours. This leisurely pace allows you to enjoy the rural landscapes and connect with the essence of the country. Although the trains are slow and often uncomfortable, they are an economical and authentic option for travelers seeking an immersive experience. In rural areas, shared trucks, also called pickups or shared cabs, are a popular form of transportation. These vehicles, which have wooden benches in the back and a covered roof, are used by locals and tourists. They are inexpensive, although they can be uncomfortable due to limited space and long distances. Despite this, they offer a unique opportunity to live with the local people and experience their daily way of life. For the more adventurous, this is an excellent way to get around Myanmar, although it is not the most comfortable option. Local buses are also a common way to travel between towns and villages. While they are faster than trains, conditions can vary. In many cases, air conditioning is a luxury, and journeys can be long due to the state of the roads. It is also common, something that surprises any tourist, that the authorities ask for documents at checkpoints. So many travelers recommend carrying several photocopies of the passport to avoid problems when moving between regions. As for prices, Myanmar is one of the most affordable countries in Southeast Asia. Dinner for two at a local restaurant can cost as little as the equivalent of $5 to $10, while accommodations range from budget hostels for less than $10 a night to boutique hotels or luxury resorts for around $50 to $100. This means that it is possible to enjoy Myanmar on a tight budget, but also to access more exclusive experiences if you are looking for comfort and luxury. Moving around the country also means adapting to its pace and peculiarities. In cities like Yangon or Mandalay, cabs are a comfortable and yet affordable option, while bicycles and motorcycles are popular in more rural areas. Boats also play an important role in regions such as Inle Lake or the Irrawaddy River, where sailing is not only a means of transportation, but also a way to explore the surroundings and discover unique landscapes. As you have seen, traveling in Myanmar is an experience that requires patience and an adventurous spirit. From the trains that seem to stop in time to the shared trucks that connect you directly with the daily life of its inhabitants. Everything in this country contributes to an immersion in another unique and authentic dimension, like no other place on the planet. From Uncensored World, we hope this video has helped you to discover Myanmar, as you have seen, one of the most fascinating and unknown jewels of the planet. If so, do not hesitate to leave us a nice like and a comment. It is the best way to help us to keep working every week, to bring you interesting content like this. Or, like this video that you can watch now, to discover another of the most mysterious and beautiful places on the planet. Click on it, you will enjoy it.